let it all go, Leo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind.
All-powerful, all-perfect, all-knowing, and all-wise, somehow just can't handle money. Religion takes in billions of dollars, they pay no taxes, and they always need a little more.
Religion is part of a complex of supernatural beliefs that are founded on lack of evidence, astrology, homeopathy, all sorts of things like that. And it could be said that some of these are harmless. I don't think it's harmless. There is something insidious about training children to believe things for which there's no evidence.
Who is that most people? I believe so. You believe so? I'm telling you, then you have not practiced yoga, obviously. Yeah, yes. So if you assume things which you have not practiced, which you are not exposed to, what can I do? See, you have no exploratory mind. You have a prejudiced mind. What to do? Please explore and see. Just do yoga and see whether your faith will change or not.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
The law of karma says no debt in the universe ever goes unpaid. There's a perfect accounting system in this universe, and everything is a constant to and fro of energy.
I refuse to recognize people as Muslims or Christians or Hindus. I see human beings as human beings.
Is whether Allah and the God of Christianity are the same. We believe as monotheists that there is only one God. And so the one God who exists, who created all people, is listening to all people when they pray. And so when people pray, no matter to whom they're praying, there is one God who is listening. Now here's the point that I want to make. The way Islam teaches God's character, His being, is very different from that of Christianity. But thankfully, there is only one God. And so when a Muslim or a Christian cries out for God to reveal Himself, God is gracious and He answers, as He answered me.
You have to be open and constantly questioning and using the method.
Overnight, I became a sun worshiper. Well, not overnight, you can't see the sun at night. But first thing the next morning, I became a sun worshiper. Several reasons. First of all, I can see the sun, okay? Yeah. Unlike some other gods I could mention, I can actually see the sun. I'm big on that. If I can see something, I don't know, kind of helps the credibility along, you know? I've often thought people treat God rather rudely, don't you? Asking trillions and trillions of prayers every day, asking and pleading and begging for favors. Do this, give me that, I need a new car, I want a better job. And most of this praying takes place on Sunday, his day off. And I say, fine, pray for anything you want, pray for anything, but What about the divine plan? Remember that? The divine plan. Long time ago, God made a divine plan. Gave it a lot of thought, decided it was a good plan, put it into practice. And for billions and billions of years, the divine plan has been doing just fine. Now you come along and pray for something. Well, suppose the thing you want isn't in God's divine plan. What do you want him to do? Change his plan? Just for you? Doesn't it seem a little arrogant? It's a divine plan. What's the use of being God if every rundown schmuck with a $2 prayer book can come along and fuck up your plan? And here's something else, another problem you might have. Suppose your prayers aren't answered. What do you say? Well, it's God's will. Thy will be done. Fine, but if it's God's will and he's going to do what he wants to anyway, why the fuck bother praying in the first place? Seems like a big waste of time to me. Couldn't you just skip the praying part and go right to his will? It's all very confusing.
So, his question to the people was, at that time Iraq war was just on, we are praying to God for victory. I'm sure they are also praying for victory. Who will God favor? I said, whoever has more guns. How is God supposed to answer this question? Both of them are praying. I'm sure whenever they went to battles, both sides are praying. So whose prayer will he answer? Those who are right, those who are wrong? Those who win are always right. You know that?
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
Must be a supernatural explanation. That isn't logical at all. And if there was a supernatural progenitor, where did that supernatural progenitor come from? Who created that? So you get nothing out of it but an infinite regression, and I think the meanest application to science is more satisfying than that, and much more likely to yield an answer that you can at least argue about. Whereas if you're simply told you have a creator and he has a plan for you, it explains nothing, and it has reactionary implications, because it suggests there are people who can't just tell you what to do. There are plenty of those as it is. People who say, God tells me to tell you what to do. And that's slavery. I think that's a very adventurous position. But the atheist view is, there's absolutely no reason ever been advanced by another primate to believe that there is one. And when you've got that far, you really ought to say there isn't, it seems to me. Not that for that reason I'm not sure. And it's completely not on all fours with the other position, which is evidence has nothing to do with it. Faith is much more important. Not only should you have faith, but you'll be saved if you do. Now, that's not, I don't know. It's not, there might be. It's not, unless you do it with, like Pascal, and say it's a vulgar bet, it's a wager, what have you got to lose? Which I think is morally creepy, as well as evidentially unsound. Because if some huckster comes to me and says, look, he may not be there, but if he is, you've got everything to gain by saying you believe in him, even if you don't really, I'll say, well, then I don't think much of your God, because if there is such a person, and I spend my life arguing that there isn't, and I do my best, when I check out, which I sure will, if I find that I'm mistaken and I'm confronted with the guy, I would hope he would be able to say, I at least admire your honesty.
Science estimates that 13.7 billion years ago, the Big Bang created the universe. However, science has never revealed why the Big Bang happened and what preceded it. Moreover, scientists are still perplexed about how the first living organisms grew from lifeless matter. Mathematician Roger Penrose calculated that the probability of creating our universe filled with life would be a number closer to 0 than anyone has ever imagined. The question therefore remains whether there is an omnipotent individual that, against all odds, had the power to create our cosmos.
I don't believe it. I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, Neo. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.